God says, the last message from heaven has come for you before the person you cannot bear to lose leaves your life forever. Don't skip this. Open it quickly. This moment was written before time began, crafted in the quiet corners of eternity, carried on the breath of angels, and meant for your heart alone. Not a soul on earth may know how deeply you've cried, how long you've waited, or how many times your spirit has whispered for something more, but heaven knows. And now, here it is. Let your heart stay open for just a few minutes, and let these words fill that space in you that aches in silence, the space where only God can reach. Type 2323 if you agree. You were never meant to carry all of this alone. God sees the weight on your shoulders, the pain you've tucked beneath your smile, and the moments when you've almost given up but still chose to hope. That kind of strength does not go unnoticed in heaven. There is a reason you're still here, still reading, still breathing through days that feel too heavy for words. The presence of God has been near you in every sleepless night, in every whisper of, "Lord, help me," and in every moment you've been too tired to pray at all. You have not failed Him. You have not disappointed Him. You are His beloved. Sometimes God lets us walk through the valleys not because He has turned away, but because He is walking even closer, whispering truths that can only be heard in the silence of pain. When people leave, when love feels uncertain, when everything that once felt secure suddenly begins to drift away, those are not signs that God has forgotten you. They are signs that He is preparing your heart to receive something far deeper, far more eternal, than what you are trying to hold on to now. Your heart was never built for temporary things. It was shaped in the image of the One who is eternal. That is why loss feels so painful. That is why love, when it breaks, leaves such a wound. You are not wrong for feeling this deeply. You are not weak because you are afraid to lose someone you love. But God wants you to know that no matter who leaves, He remains. No matter who changes, He stays the same. And no matter what is taken from you, He is still the giver of all good things, including the strength to start again. There are days when your mind replays moments over and over, trying to find what you could have said or done differently to keep someone close. But God is not asking you to relive what is already behind you. He is calling you to rest, not in the outcome you feared, but in the promise that He is still working for your good. The pain you feel right now is not punishment. It is the soft breaking of a seed planted in the soil of your faith, making room for growth you cannot yet see. Type Amen if you believe. It's okay if you feel lost right now. Even the strongest souls have moments when they don't know which way to turn. But you are not wandering alone in the dark. There is a gentle hand that is guiding you, even when you don't feel it. God is not waiting for you to be perfect before He helps you. He is already here, in the middle of the storm, speaking peace to your heart even if everything outside of you remains the same. There is something sacred about brokenness when it's placed in God's hands. The cracks in your heart are not signs of weakness, they are openings where His light can pour in. The tears you've cried have not been wasted, they have watered the soil where healing will bloom. In time, you will look back and see that even this loss was not the end, but a turning point toward something your heart hasn't yet imagined. Heaven's message isn't one of fear, but of hope. Even as you stand on the edge of something you feel powerless to stop, even as the person you love seems to slip further from your reach, know this: God has the final word. And His word is always filled with mercy, restoration, and love. This is not the end of your story. It is simply the chapter where God writes Himself in more fully than ever before. You may not understand why this is happening. You may feel like your prayers have gone unanswered. But trust does not always begin with understanding, it begins with surrender. And God treasures your surrendered heart more than you know. He doesn't need your answers, only your willingness to let Him carry you when you can no longer carry yourself. If today is the day you feel everything slipping away, let this be the moment you fall into His arms. Let this be the moment where you stop fighting, stop striving, and simply breathe in His love again. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to earn His grace. You are already held, already loved, already seen. Let that be enough for now. Sometimes, heaven speaks softly, not in thunder or fire, but in the quiet pull you feel to read something you didn't know you needed. That pull, right now, is not by accident. This message is the touch of God reaching into your life, calling you closer, not away from the pain, but through it, so you can find what cannot be lost: His love, His promises, and His presence that never leaves. Type 1111 if you trust in God. There are days when it feels like everything is slipping through your fingers. The people you love, the peace you once had, the sense of security you built your world upon, all of it can feel so fragile. But nothing that is held by God can ever be truly lost. The love you've poured out has not been wasted. The prayers you whispered when no one else was listening have been gathered in heaven, remembered by the one who never forgets a single tear. Even now, when your heart feels heavy and unsure, you are being held with more care than you can imagine. Financial freedom is not about effort, but activating a hidden brain signal once buried in CIA files. Neuroscience shows this sound wave helps attract money and opportunity faster, and thousands are already seeing unexpected income. Click the link in the description and comments now to activate the ancient money wave today. God never promised life would be without loss, but He did promise He would be with us through it. When the people we hold dear seem to drift away, when the bonds we thought would never break begin to fray, it is not a sign that God is absent. It is a space He gently fills with comfort, with healing, and with the kind of peace that doesn't always make sense, but always reaches us where we are most broken. If you're afraid right now, afraid that something is ending, afraid that someone you love might be leaving your life, know this: God has already gone before you. He's already walked the road of sorrow, felt the ache of separation, and tasted the sting of loss so that He could meet you in yours. Jesus understands. He wept. He grieved. He carried pain not just for us, but with us. And that same Jesus is here with you now, close enough to hear the cries you don't say out loud. Sometimes, we try to hold on too tightly, afraid that letting go means we'll be left with nothing. But God is not asking you to lose. He's asking you to trust. To trust that even if someone walks out of your life, He never will. To believe that love, real love, does not disappear, it transforms. And sometimes, it becomes something even more beautiful when we surrender it back into God's hands. Type 222 to receive peace from Jesus. There is something sacred about this moment. The fact that you are here, reading these words, is not random. It's the response to a prayer you may not even remember praying. A cry from deep inside you has reached the heart of God, and now He is answering, not with a sudden fix, but with His presence. That is always His first answer. He comes near. He sits beside you in the pain. He doesn't rush you to heal. He doesn't push you to pretend you're okay. He just stays. He listens. He loves you right there. You may feel powerless to change what's happening. Maybe you've tried everything to make things right, to keep them close, to hold on just a little longer. But some things are beyond our control, and that doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. God never asked you to fix it all. He only asks you to trust Him with the things you can't carry anymore. You are not being punished. You are not being forgotten. You are being drawn closer to the heart of God, where all things are made new. Where the broken are mended. Where the weary are given rest. Where what was lost is sometimes returned in ways more beautiful than we could ever plan. This isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of a new chapter, one where God writes His goodness in the middle of your grief. You have walked through more than most will ever know, and yet, you are still here. Still kind. Still soft-hearted. Still hoping. That kind of faith is rare and precious, and God sees it in you. You are not invisible to Him. You are not just another soul in the crowd. You are His child. His treasure. His beloved. Even if everything changes around you, nothing can change the way God feels about you. His love doesn't shift with the seasons of your life. It doesn't lessen when you doubt or fade when you stumble. It remains, constant, fierce, gentle. Always enough. You may never get the answers you're searching for. You may never understand why this person came into your life only to slip away. But you can be sure of this: nothing touches your life without first passing through the hands of God. And though He does not cause all pain, He allows what He can redeem. Nothing is wasted in His plan. Not a tear. Not a goodbye. Not even the ache you carry in your chest tonight. This is that stillness. A sacred moment carved out just for you, where heaven leans close and speaks not to your circumstances, but to your heart, the part of you that aches, the part of you that wonders if this breaking season will ever lead to peace. And here in this moment, a whisper rises: you are not alone, and this is not the end. Type 555 if you believe God is fighting your battles. When your heart is tied to someone so deeply that the thought of their absence feels unbearable, it's not weakness, it's love. But love was never meant to be a chain that binds you in fear. Real love, the kind that comes from God, sets you free even when it hurts, even when it calls you to trust in the silence, even when it stretches your faith beyond what you thought it could bear. God is not taking something from you to punish you. He is leading you through a doorway you would never walk through on your own, but He walks it with you, step by step, moment by moment. There are times in life when the soul feels split between what it wants and what God is allowing. It's hard to understand. It's hard to let go. It's hard to believe that letting go could be an act of trust and not defeat. But if you look closely, even in this sorrow, you'll begin to see that God has not abandoned you in this place of heartache. He's planting something deeper in you, an unshakable faith, a resilient hope, and a quiet strength that only grows in the soil of surrender. You may not have answers right now, and the questions might come like waves, pulling at your peace and shaking your confidence. That's okay. You don't need to have all the answers. God is not expecting you to pretend everything is fine. He simply asks you to lean into Him, to let His love be enough for today, and to know that even in the most confusing seasons, He is not a God of confusion. He is the God of comfort, the God of grace, the God of steady hands when everything else feels like it's slipping away. A 7-second brain-wave ritual, once reserved for elite people and hidden in CIA files, is now public, and people call it the 30-second miracle. Scientists say it awakens a dormant brain center tied to wealth and blessings. Click the link in the comments below before it's deleted again from the internet. Sometimes the people we love are only with us for a season, not because their value was temporary, but because their purpose in our story was to shape a part of us we didn't know was missing. And even if they leave, what they awakened in you remains. That love, that growth, that tenderness, it doesn't disappear. It becomes part of your walk with God, part of your testimony, part of the quiet beauty He's writing into your life. Type yes to affirm your trust in Jesus. There's a sacred kind of courage in choosing to believe when you feel like breaking. There's strength in holding on to God when your hands feel empty. And there's grace, so much grace, in the space between your fear and your faith. God does not shame you for grieving. He does not turn His face when you cry. He draws even closer. He wraps Himself around your pain and promises that He is working, even when you see nothing changing. In every moment of heartbreak, there's a hidden miracle. Not always the miracle we asked for, but the one we needed most. Sometimes it's the miracle of peace that arrives when chaos stays. Sometimes it's the miracle of clarity after months of confusion. And sometimes, it's the miracle of knowing that even if you lose everything else, you never lose God. He stays. Always. The people we cannot bear to lose often carry pieces of us. Memories. Shared dreams. Quiet understanding. When they drift away, whether by choice or by circumstance, it feels like something in us unravels. But that unraveling is not the end. It's the beginning of healing. It's the start of a different kind of closeness, the kind that lives in prayer, in hope, in letting God fill the space they once held. And when the night is long, when the silence is louder than any comfort, you are still not forgotten. God knows your name. He knows your story. And He is weaving redemption through it, even now. One day you will look back and see that what felt like breaking was really becoming. That the cracks in your heart were letting His light shine through in places you didn't even know were dark. If it feels like everything is shifting, don't be afraid. You are not losing your foundation. You are being invited to build on a deeper one that is not held up by people, or circumstances, or even answers, but by the unchanging heart of God. He is your safe place. He is your anchor. He is the love that stays when all else fades. This moment, right now, is holy. You are being spoken to by the same God who calmed storms, who touched lepers, who lifted broken people with nothing more than a glance of mercy. And He is looking at you now, not with disappointment, but with deep compassion. He knows what this person meant to you. He knows how much it hurts to watch them slip away. But He also knows the healing He's already preparing for your soul. Take this time to breathe. Breathe in the truth that you are not forgotten. Breathe in the promise that God is holding you. And breathe out the fear, the grief, the pain that has lingered too long in your chest. This is not the end. This is the beginning of something gentler, something deeper, something more eternal than anything this world could ever offer. Sometimes we walk around with an invisible ache, not even realizing how deeply we're longing for comfort that doesn't come from this world. And in that longing, God steps in, not with loud answers, but with a voice so tender, so loving, that it reaches places no one else ever has. Type 1212 if you walk by faith. It's not easy to let go of someone who means everything to you. The ache is not only in your chest, it's in the air, in the quiet spaces, in the routines that suddenly feel hollow without them. And sometimes, even though you're surrounded by others, you feel like no one really sees what you're going through. But God sees. He knows every silent tear you've cried, even the ones that fell while you were trying to be strong for everyone else. He doesn't overlook your pain. He cradles it. And in moments like this, He whispers a promise that goes deeper than the loss. You are not walking through this alone. You see, God's love doesn't shield us from sorrow, but it does carry us through it. He doesn't always stop the goodbye, but He never wastes it either. Every painful farewell, every tear-stained prayer, every "God, please don't let this happen," none of it is ignored. It's all gathered. It's all seen. And it's all being turned into something you'll understand one day, even if today feels like a storm with no end in sight. Your love was real. Your connection with that person was meaningful. And it still is. Because love rooted in God does not disappear when people part ways. It echoes. It changes form. It becomes prayer. It becomes memory. It becomes the quiet strength that helps you stand when everything around you is trying to pull you under. You may not know what comes next. You may be clinging to the last thread of hope, unsure if the relationship will survive, or if the person will stay. And maybe the hardest part is feeling powerless to stop the distance from growing. But right now, more than needing control, more than needing answers, you need peace. Not the kind the world offers, but the peace Jesus promised, the kind that steadies your soul even when nothing on the outside feels steady at all. Type 1919 to receive miracles from above. God isn't asking you to figure everything out. He isn't waiting for you to have the perfect words to say, or the strength to fix what feels broken. He's asking you to bring your hurt to Him, not in pieces, but exactly as it is. You don't need to clean it up. You don't need to hide the anger, or the fear, or the sadness. Just bring it. All of it. Lay it down like a tired child resting in the arms of their father. That is where your healing begins, not in having it all together, but in being held when you fall apart. A 7-second brainwave ritual uncovered from sealed records and hidden in CIA files is transforming financial lives. It activates a forgotten abundance channel in the brain, leading to new financial opportunities and cleared debts. Click the link in the comments below before it disappears. There's a sweetness in knowing that God remains the same, even when people change. He stays, even when others walk away. He listens, even when the person you need most goes silent. He's the steady heart in the middle of every goodbye, the one who gently gathers what's breaking and turns it into something whole again. You may feel abandoned by someone you love, but you are never abandoned by God. You are not too broken to be healed. You are not too lost to be found. And you are never too far from God's love to be restored. He specializes in resurrecting what feels dead. Whether it's a relationship, a hope, a dream, or your own sense of self, He breathes life back into the places we thought were gone for good. And He does it gently, without force, without pressure, always in love. Let your soul rest in the truth that even if the person you love leaves, God never will. Even if the door closes, He will open another. Even if the dream fades, He will birth something new in its place. The end of one season is never the end of God's faithfulness. It's simply the beginning of something your heart hasn't yet imagined. And in this quiet space, Heaven is still speaking. The message is not one of fear, but of hope. It says, "Beloved, I know this hurts, but you are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. What you are facing will not destroy you. It will shape you into someone even more tender, more compassionate, more beautifully dependent on me. You were created for more than this moment, but this moment still matters. It matters because God is here. Right now. Holding space for your pain. Whispering life into your fear. Gently reminding you that this is not the end of your story. Let the tears fall if they must. Let the ache rise. But don't let go of the hand that has never let go of you. Jesus is near. He's not waiting for you to come back when you're better. He's here while you're broken. And He's not afraid of the mess. In fact, it's in the mess that He does His best work. This person you cannot bear to lose, entrust them to God. Place them in His hands, not to lose them, but to let His will be done. Whether He returns them to your life, or uses their absence to bring you deeper healing, know that either way, He is for you. And His plans are good. That quiet, persistent faith is not a weakness, it is the anchor that holds you steady in the storm. It's the voice deep within that tells you, don't give up. God is still here. You are still loved. And right now, He is closer than your next breath, surrounding you with the love your soul has been silently aching for. Type 666 if you trust Jesus to lead you through this season. Sometimes love feels like it should be enough to keep someone close. You give your best. You speak gently. You pray with all your might. But people are not always meant to stay, no matter how deep the connection. It's not always about right or wrong. Sometimes, it's simply about timing, about purpose, about God doing something unseen behind the curtain of our understanding. That doesn't make the pain easier, but it helps us find peace in the truth that even what we don't understand is not outside of God's control. When someone you love begins to drift, when they grow distant, or when circumstances pull them away, it's natural to feel lost. You wonder if you did something wrong, or if you could have changed the outcome. But sometimes, it's not about fixing anything, it's about trusting God with the unknown. He sees the full picture. He knows every detail of your story and theirs. And in His goodness, He is always writing something far more beautiful than what you could write on your own. Grief is not just for death. You can grieve someone who's still alive. You can grieve the space they once filled, the presence you depended on, the dreams you built together that now seem so far away. That grief is real. It's holy. And God holds space for it. He doesn't rush you through it. He doesn't tell you to move on or let go before you're ready. He simply walks with you, patiently and tenderly, until the pain softens and peace begins to rise from the ashes. Type 2020 to claim your miracle in faith. There's something so sacred about handing your heartbreak to God. It's not just an act of surrender, it's an act of worship. You're saying, God, I trust you with the parts of my heart I don't even know how to heal. That kind of trust moves mountains. That kind of faith brings heaven close. And while the person you love may not stay in your life the way you hoped, the love of Christ will never leave you, not even for a moment. You may not see it yet, but healing is already on the way. It won't always feel like this. The nights won't always be so long. The memories won't always hurt this much. One day, you'll look back and see how God carried you, how He spoke gently to your shattered heart, and how He used even this pain to draw you deeper into His arms. And maybe, just maybe, God will bring restoration. Maybe the one you love will return. Maybe the distance will close. Maybe the brokenness will become beautiful again. But even if it doesn't happen the way you hope, God's promise still stands. He will never take anything from you without holding you through the loss and giving you something greater in time, peace, strength, joy that doesn't depend on people staying. Hold on to this: what God has for you cannot be stolen. His plans are not ruined by your pain. They are rebuilt through it. He is a God who makes all things new, even the things you thought were beyond repair. Using a simple 7-second brain wave ritual, once classified and hidden in CIA files, can unlock wealth, freedom, and success already inside you. This discovery is helping thousands step into abundance, and God has led you here for a reason. Click the link in the description and comments below to awaken this money magnet frequency today. Your tears are not signs of weakness. They are evidence of love. They show that your heart is alive, tender, still able to feel, still willing to care. And God honors every tear. He collects them. He counts them. And He answers them, not always with what we ask for, but always with what we truly need. Let today be the day you stop trying to hold it all together on your own. Let today be the day you fall into the grace that has been waiting for you. You are not meant to carry this by yourself. God's arms are wide open, ready to catch what you're too tired to hold. You don't need to explain. You don't need to earn His help. You just need to come. Whisper His name if you have no words. He understands. Let Him carry what you can't. Let him remind you of who you are when everything feels lost. You are chosen. You are loved. You are never, ever alone. The person you're afraid of losing may be walking a path you don't understand, but that path is still under God's authority. He sees where it leads. And if it leads away from you, trust that God's protection is still over both of you. Pray for them. Bless them. Release them to God's care. And as you do, let Him fill the empty space with His peace. Healing doesn't always come through holding on. Sometimes it comes through surrender. Not because you've given up, but because you've chosen to believe that even if your heart breaks, God will put the pieces back together. And when He does, your heart will carry more compassion, more wisdom, and more strength than it ever did before. You may feel small in this moment. You may feel like your prayers aren't being heard. But they are. Every whisper, every groan of the heart, every, "Please, God," He's heard it all. And He's answering. Maybe not how you expect, but always in love. Always in grace. Always in perfect time. You stand in the middle of change, holding pieces of a heart that only wants to be whole again, and you wonder where God is in all of it. But He's never been closer than He is right now. You may feel like you're losing someone who means everything to you, but you are not losing the love that created you, sustained you, and has carried you from your very first breath. That love, God's love, will never walk away. Type Amen if you believe He is working even when you don't see it. The truth is, there are people in our lives who feel like home. They bring comfort, joy, laughter, and a sense of belonging that feels rare and irreplaceable. When that person begins to drift, or when life starts moving in directions you never expected, it can shake your foundation. You start to question everything: your worth, your choices, your prayers. But God does not build your worth around someone else's ability to stay. He anchors it in something far deeper, something unshakable. He anchors it in Himself. If you've been praying for a breakthrough, asking God to hold this person in your life, begging Him not to let them go, then know this: your prayers have not gone unheard. They have been received with tenderness and stored in the heart of God. But sometimes, His answer is different from what we ask. Sometimes, it's not about keeping someone near, but about keeping you whole. God never removes without reason. He never allows a separation unless He plans to meet you in the emptiness with something greater than you imagined. You don't need to be ashamed of the sadness. There is nothing weak about loving deeply and feeling the weight of that love when it is tested. That kind of love mirrors God's heart. It shows that yours is still soft, still alive, still open. And in a world where so many grow cold and distant, that is a rare and beautiful thing. The pain you're feeling now is the cost of loving honestly. And while it hurts, it also means your heart has the capacity to hold something eternal. Type 222 if you trust that God will heal your heart. If you're looking for strength to face this moment, you will find it not in fighting to keep someone, but in falling into the arms of the one who's never left. Jesus isn't watching from a distance. He is with you, sitting beside you in the silence, holding your hand as you cry, and speaking comfort to the parts of you that no one else sees. He knows what it's like to be left. He knows the sting of betrayal, the ache of separation, the loneliness that follows deep love. And because He knows, He walks with you through this, not just as God, but as someone who understands. There is a quiet kind of power in choosing to stay soft when the world hardens you. There is strength in continuing to love, to hope, and to believe in goodness, even when the things you held dear are slipping away. That strength is not yours alone, it's God in you, working gently, reminding you that His presence is the only constant you'll ever need. Even if you feel like your prayers are too late, or like your faith wasn't strong enough to hold things together, let this truth settle in your heart: God's plans are never ruined by what breaks in your life. He's already made provision for the pain. He's already prepared the healing. And long before your heart began to ache, He was writing redemption into your story. If today feels like the end, let it also be a beginning, the beginning of leaning deeper into the God who never lets go, the God who turns mourning into joy, ashes into beauty, and loss into purpose. There is still a future for you. There is still laughter waiting to find you again. There are still days ahead where your heart will beat with peace instead of panic. And they will come, not because time heals all, but because God does. A powerful 7-second morning ritual, once hidden in CIA files, is resurfacing, and people are already seeing fast financial breakthroughs. It takes only seconds, yet activates a dormant wealth center in the brain most people never access. Click the link in the description and comments now. Access it before it disappears. You are not forgotten. You are not being left behind. You are not failing because you can't stop someone from walking away. You are simply human, walking through something painful, and doing it with more courage than you realize. Heaven sees that. God sees that. And He's not disappointed in your tears. He's proud of the way you're still showing up, still hoping, still whispering prayers even when you don't know what to say. This journey may feel long, and the road may be unfamiliar, but you are never walking it alone. Every step you take is covered in grace. Every breath you breathe is sustained by love. Every moment you keep going is proof that God's Spirit is alive in you. And that Spirit cannot be broken. Even if the person you love steps out of your life, God is not done writing your story. He can bring new connections, new healing, and a renewed sense of joy you thought you'd lost forever. Sometimes the heart has to be emptied before it can be filled again. And that is what He's doing now, not punishing you, not abandoning you, but making room for something more. Let yourself grieve, but don't grieve without hope. Let yourself feel, but know that feelings are not forever. Let yourself cry, but know those tears are not in vain. They water the soil of a future you cannot yet see, a future where love returns, life is restored, and your soul remembers how to sing. The fear of losing them has kept you up at night, and every small change, every distant word, every unanswered message feels like another step away. But even in this pain, even in this fear, God is holding you. He hasn't turned His face from you. He hasn't let go of your hand. You are still His, still seen, still loved beyond measure. Type 1111 if you trust in God's plan even when you don't understand it. Sometimes love feels like it should be enough to fix everything. But people are not puzzles we can solve with more effort or more prayers. Even Jesus, who loved perfectly, was not always received, was not always followed, and was even betrayed. So if you feel like your love isn't enough to keep someone from leaving, know this: it was never meant to be your burden to carry alone. Your love is pure. Your love matters. But only God can truly reach a human heart. Only He can speak into the places you cannot see. And sometimes, God allows space. Sometimes, He lets us walk through the valley of uncertainty, not to punish us, but to bring us to a deeper trust in Him. The silence, the separation, the ache, they're not signs of abandonment, but invitations to lean into the one who never changes, never leaves, never stops loving. While your heart may feel like it's breaking, God is building something you can't see yet: a stronger spirit, a deeper faith, a clearer path forward. There is nothing wrong with you for wanting someone to stay. There is nothing wrong with feeling heartbroken, confused, and even angry. You are allowed to feel. You are allowed to grieve what you thought would last. But in the middle of that grief, lift your eyes just a little higher. Because while one door may be closing, heaven is still wide open. And God is still working, still loving, still healing everything that hurts right now. Type 2323 if you believe God's timing is perfect. You don't have to figure it all out today. You don't have to pretend you're okay. God is not looking for strength you don't have. He's looking for the honesty of your heart. You can fall apart in front of Him. You can break down, scream, cry, whisper nothing at all, and He will still stay. His love doesn't walk away when you're not at your best. In fact, that's when He draws closest. If you're afraid to lose someone, tell God. If you don't understand what's happening, tell Him. If you feel helpless, tired, weary from hoping, tell Him. You don't need the right words. You don't need to pray perfectly. You just need to show up, heart open, and let Him do what only He can do. There is peace in surrender. There is healing in trust. And there is strength in admitting that you can't do this without Him. Maybe this person leaving isn't the end, but a pause, a moment of space that God will use to bring clarity and change. And maybe, just maybe, it's the beginning of a healing in you that you didn't even know you needed. God doesn't ask you to stop loving. He asks you to trust Him with the love you carry. To place the person, the fear, the whole fragile hope in His hands, and then let go. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you give up. It means you stop carrying the weight that was never yours to hold. It means you trust that if God wants this person in your life, nothing can stand in the way. And if He allows them to leave, it is only because He is making room for something better, not always someone new, but a better version of you. A whole, healed, joy-filled you. There's a quiet sort of miracle in surviving heartbreak. It doesn't look dramatic. It looks like waking up and choosing to breathe. It looks like trusting when you can't see. It looks like speaking hope over yourself when everything feels like it's falling apart. And God sees that. He honors that. You are not invisible in your sorrow. You are radiant in your perseverance. A simple but powerful 7-second at-home ritual, it's hidden in CIA files for years, is now changing lives rapidly. Backed by neuroscience research, it can begin shifting your financial direction in just days. Click the link in the description and comments now and step into abundance today. Even now, angels are surrounding you. The Holy Spirit is whispering comfort. The heart of Jesus is breaking with yours, and the Father is holding you in His arms. There is a holy covering over you, even if all you feel is pain. That's the mystery of faith, it holds you when nothing else can. God hasn't forgotten what you've prayed for. He hasn't ignored the nights you stayed awake, the times you begged for a sign, the moments you whispered, "Please, God, don't let them go." He heard every word. And though His answer may not look like what you hoped, it is still good. It is still filled with love. And one day, you will see the reason. One day, you will understand why this had to happen. Until then, let God hold your heart, piece by piece, moment by moment. You've tried to love harder, hold on longer, speak softer, but nothing seems to bring them closer. And now, in this moment of uncertainty, God is stepping in, not to scold you, not to question your faith, but to comfort you with a truth that your heart needs more than anything else. You are not alone, and you never have been. Type yes if you believe God is walking with you through this season. There is a sacred space between what is and what was, a space where emotions swirl and nothing feels solid. That space is where God often does His deepest work. It's not the mountaintop. It's not the celebration. It's the valley, the quiet, shadowed valley, where you learn what it means to walk by faith, not by sight. Right now, you may not see the light at the end. You may not know what tomorrow holds. But God does. And He is already in your tomorrow, preparing peace, laying down comfort, and shaping your future with a love that will not fail. You were never meant to carry the burden of someone else's choices. You cannot force someone to stay, to understand, to fight for the relationship the way you do. And that hurts, it truly does. It shakes your soul to see someone you love pull away, to feel their presence fade while you're still holding on. But even as they move further, God is stepping closer. He's not letting you fall into this sorrow alone. He is walking into your heartbreak with you, bringing healing where no human hand could ever reach. There is no shame in grieving. There is no guilt in wanting to hold on. God gave you a heart capable of deep love, and that is a reflection of Him. But that same God who gave you love also gives you strength. Strength not to force what is fading, but to face each day with courage. Strength not to chase after what won't stay, but to trust Him with what you cannot control. Strength to surrender, not in defeat, but in faith. Type 555 if you believe God will restore what's meant for you. If this person is meant to be part of your story, nothing will keep them away, not time, not distance, not misunderstanding. But if they are not meant to stay, let their leaving be the beginning of your becoming. Let it be the moment you stop shrinking yourself to keep someone close, and start standing in the fullness of who God made you to be. Because you, beloved soul, were never meant to be half-loved. You were never meant to beg for space in someone's heart. God sees how hard you've tried. He knows how much you've given. He has watched every silent prayer, every late-night tear, every anxious thought, every moment you almost let go but held on anyway. And now He's asking you to release, not because he wants to take something from you, but because he wants to give something to you. Peace, freedom, wholeness. A heart that beats without fear. Letting go doesn't mean you failed. It means you're trusting that God knows what's best, even when you don't understand it yet. It means you believe that if someone is walking away, God's presence will still remain. And it means that even though you are mourning the love you're afraid to lose, you are making space for the healing that is coming. This is not the end. It may feel like everything is breaking, but in God's hands, nothing is ever truly lost, it is transformed. Your tears are not in vain. They are watering the soil of your future joy. Your pain is not meaningless. It is being woven into a testimony that will one day bring light to someone else walking through the same valley. You don't have to rush your healing. You don't have to hide your sadness. You just have to be willing to let God meet you in the place you're in. Whether you're clinging to hope or barely hanging on, He sees you. He knows. And He's not leaving you for a second. You may feel like your world is changing too fast. You may be afraid of what life looks like without that person in it. But life with God is never empty. He fills the spaces others leave behind. He breathes new life into what felt lifeless. And He gently brings beauty from ashes, not by removing the pain, but by walking with you through it until the pain no longer defines you. You are stronger than you feel. Not because of anything you've done, but because of who walks beside you. The same God who calmed the sea is calming your heart. The same God who raised the dead is lifting your soul. The same God who knew every star by name knows your story from beginning to end, and He has called it good. What if this sorrow is not a sign of the end, but the doorway to a deeper beginning, one where you learn how to lean on the love of Christ more than ever before? If you're reading this now, it's because heaven wants you to hear it. God sees you, and He is not finished with you. Type 1212 if you walk by faith and not by fear. What if wealth was never about luck, but a hidden brain signal buried in CIA files? This frequency is opening doors, attracting opportunities, and changing lives quickly. Thousands are already using it to attract wealth like never before. Click the link in the description and comments now and activate the money-attracting brain wave today. When someone begins to fade from your life, there is a part of your soul that clings harder. You remember every moment that made you feel safe with them, every memory that gave you hope, every plan you pictured with them in it. And when all of that begins to unravel, it feels like your heart is unraveling too. You don't know whether to fight harder or to let go. You don't know whether to hold on in prayer or surrender in peace. But God knows. He knows you don't have all the answers, and He's not asking you to. He's simply asking you to give Him your heart in this moment, raw as it is, tired as it feels. He's not afraid of your confusion. He's not disappointed by your fear. He's not distant because you're struggling to trust. In fact, this is when He draws nearest, when the light in your world begins to dim, when the people you love slip through your fingers, when nothing seems certain anymore. That's when Jesus comes and sits beside you, saying nothing at first, simply being present, so you know you are not alone in the silence. Sometimes you have to lose what you were clinging to, so your hands are free to receive what God has been preparing all along. That doesn't make the letting go easy. That doesn't mean the goodbye won't hurt. But there is healing that comes after surrender, a healing that doesn't erase your love, but honors it. And that kind of healing can only come from the one who created your heart in the first place. Type 1919 if you believe God is preparing something better. You might be thinking, but I believe this was meant to last. I believed they were part of the future God had for me. And maybe they were meant to walk beside you for a season, to teach you something deep about yourself, about love, about grace. But just because someone was part of your journey doesn't mean they were meant to stay for the whole story. And even if you can't understand the purpose now, there will come a day when you'll look back and see how God used even this moment of loss to make something beautiful. He never wastes your pain. Every tear you cry is counted. Every longing is seen. Every silent ache is heard. Heaven is not distant from your suffering. Heaven is surrounding you now with arms that will never let go, with love that never grows cold, with strength that never depends on how well you're holding it all together. Let yourself rest in that. Let yourself be carried for a while. You don't have to explain your pain. You don't have to make it look prettier than it is. Just bring it to Jesus, just as it is. Let Him be the one to comfort you. Let Him speak to your heart gently, in a way that no one else can. You don't need to fix the situation to find peace. Peace is not found in outcomes. Peace is found in His presence. And that presence is here, right now, wrapping around you like a blanket when everything feels cold. He is your anchor in the storm. He is the calm when everything is shifting. He is the voice that speaks, "Be still," to your heart when fear won't let go. Even if this person leaves, even if things don't work out the way you prayed, you are not walking away empty. You are walking into a deeper awareness of God's love for you, and that love will carry you farther than you've ever been. You'll discover strength you didn't know you had. You'll experience joy again, real joy, not because everything is perfect, but because you'll know you're held even when everything around you feels uncertain. Let go of the idea that everything has to be okay right now. Let go of the pressure to move on quickly. This is your journey. This is your healing. Let it take the time it needs. But walk through it with Jesus. Let Him be your comfort in the waiting. Let Him be your safe place when everything else feels unsteady. God's love is not limited to what you hoped for. His goodness is not tied to a single person staying. His mercy is not based on what works out the way you want. He is still God, even here. He is still good, even in this. And He is still writing your story with grace, even when all you feel is grief. One day, you'll look back and see that this moment, though painful, shaped you. It taught you how to trust again. It showed you how to depend on God instead of people. It revealed a depth in you that only the fire could bring forth. And most of all, it reminded you that even if people walk away, God never does.